evening. Welcome to Grandview Heights Planning Commission meeting, Wednesday, August 17th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Romero?
Here.
Commissioner Kaskowski? Here. Commissioner Rourke?
Here.
Commissioner Holler?
Here.
Chairman Gentry?
Here.
Mayor Kearns? Here. Councilman Funzera?
Here.
Director Gilbert?
Here.
All right, any additions, corrections to the minutes from the last meeting? Those over here? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
All in favor say aye, those not in favor say nay.
Aye.
All right, anybody who's speaking in front of the commission tonight, please stand, raise your right hand, answer it in the affirmative. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Perfect, thank you. All right, any changes, additions?
No changes.
All right, let's head right into it. PC case number 8-2022, 1064 Dublin Road. The applicant is, I can't remember how to say it.
I'm the pinch hitter. My name's Joe Moore. That's easier to pronounce.
All right, Jim, okay, good. Is it ODAC? ODAC architecture? Or
It's AODK.
it's just AODK? All right, the lowercase letters to kind of throw me off. All right, AODK architecture. Take it away.
Good evening. My name is Joe Moore. I'm with AODK Architecture. The address is 14369 Detroit Avenue in Lakewood, Ohio. We're seeking approval tonight from the Planning Commission's our project pertaining to 3 issues. The first is a dining patio that will be between our tenant space building and the adjacent tenant space building. The dining patio consists of 2 dining pavilions, planters, torches, and a north and south patio lounge. The second issue is an exterior elevation modification where we're proposing a 24-inch wide red pre-finished accent band on the 4 elevations. We're hoping that this will find a space within that tenant space building, so that potential customers will realize that the rail is a full service sit-down restaurant and bar. And then the third issue is a sign variance. Our 2 signs slightly exceed our allowable for the Grandview crossing signage issues. That's it.
All right,
That's my-
perfect. Well, since we did kind of discuss this at the last meeting, I'll let our planning commission members who weren't here go first. Sarah?
I don't have any issue with the sort of designation of the rails part of the building with the red strip. And can someone remind me of the, like I said, how much over the signage area is it? Like you said it's slightly over that.
I believe we're allowed,
It says 74, I can't read it, I'm 74 square feet.
Chairman Gentry, I don't know if maybe you want to have Director Kelper provide a staff report next.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
No, just kidding. If you'd like to do that.
No, it's been a long day. My apologies.
Yeah,
Sarah's all right.
that's fine, I'll do that, that'd be good.
Liz,
Sorry about that.
That might be good.
Luckily, it's
I'm
only
not
one
sure.
case tonight.
We don't know how lucky we are, in fact. I think I have about that many words I can left today. So, yes, as the chair noted, there's not a lot of, there's really no changes to the design request. The specific things that are at issue this evening, the commission asked last time for a way to get around the buildings between Dublin Road and the parking lot, which actually was already part of the plans, but just wasn't really clearly delineated. So we have some bullet plans that indicate the way that folks will be able to get around the building. And really, if you look at the site plan, I don't know if you still have all the massive amount of drawings that I provided last month, but it almost terminates now between the hotel and this restaurant, and really connects them strongly. So instead of going through that area, the patio area between the two buildings, it's almost just a connection between them, which kind of works well. And beyond that, the variance is in here, but I didn't actually include it in the staff report because it was in the drawing so clearly. And I'm looking for that.
I believe we're allowed two 60-foot square foot signs, and our regular shaped signs are 74 each on the north and south face.
The other thing to understand as well about the signage guidelines in this case is that they were written for the development, the PUD. This is the first real signage that has come before the commission as something that's deviating. But the normal process often for signage like this would be to go to whoever the architect is, who's the master architect for the developer. They did do that, got approval in terms of cohesion for the development within the spirit of the guidelines that were written for the PUD. So there's nothing, out of character, if you will, for the signs.
Can you share that path? Like, it's not on the package.
Yeah, it's in the application.
I didn't see it.
That was from last time, or that got emailed to us.
You mean the overall site plan or just
Or
the?
the
Yeah.
just the
pedestrian connection.
Between
Like,
you said,
like,
you know,
Well,
it goes around the side of the building to the west side and around.
The plans, the site plans?
So they don't need to use the,
well, yeah, originally it was here,
Yeah.
but now
Are they in the current drawing?
this was.
No,
where
the enlargements were in the documents that I got off
The
today.
rail, it's on this
I'm
one.
not sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
write.
don't actually see them printed.
I printed it out.
Here.
it was-
So was this what you were asking about? The sidewalk around to the west?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it there already.
Like
This is
highlighted.
a-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other?
No other items really well, there are a couple other items I was just discussing with the applicant that are more staff approval, but if I go ahead and note them. One is to ensure that the patio is enclosed as necessary for a liquor permit. That's a next step actually, but we'll want to make sure that there isn't something significant from an aesthetic perspective. So once you get that finalized, we would ask that it comes back and be reviewed, and as long as it's not makes a significant impact on what you're seeing tonight, the staff can review that. And then there was another building code issue, it's not in the report actually, having to do with access to the sprinkler attachment, but they've already addressed that as well. So from a staff review perspective, I think that they've done what we asked for, they're meeting the intent of the PUD, and we would recommend approval, subject to anything else that you guys might like to add.
Thanks, Liz.
Yeah.
Apologies to the applicant and Sarah for being a little discombobulated, so go ahead, Bro.
I mean, I'm playing catch up here a little bit, but I don't have any issues with the sign being a little bit over, and, the patio kind of filling in between the two buildings, I think is a nice connection. I don't see anything there really, so I don't have any issues or concerns.
Thanks, Sue. Tim?
I kind of echo Sarah's comments, but in general, tenant signage looks to be pretty rectilinear and block-like, and I'm not familiar enough with when this was originally discussed. See, we're having a deviation that goes above, say, the parapet height on the backside. Personal opinion is it's fine because it's blocked from the street view, and I think it adds character to that facade. But I didn't know, when this was originally passed, if there was any discussion on like having a standardized rectangle, or how it was written.
There was the PUD package that was approved 2 years ago, give or take 3 years ago. Yeah. Did have a very, they're just sort of saving spots.
Right.
But then if you read the text and look at all the design examples that they provided for all kinds of different designs, they're very eclectic, idiosyncratic, kind of refined, all the things that the signage is. So it seems to fit very much of the imagery that they provided in the package, very much within that family, and the landlord is on board, likes it.
That's all I really needed to hear, just because I think by passing it, allow this to happen in the future. It sounds like it's in line with what the developer wanted, what the city wanted, so I have no objections there. And then I'm just curious, is red just the brand color? Is that, how did red come? It seems like a very monochrome palette until we add the red.
Yeah, red's part of the branding.
I think it looks nice with that exterior roof colors being red. I think that ties well. Umbrellas, whether they end up staying red or not, is a nice touch too. Outside of that, I think it's in scale with the building. I appreciate the banding. I have no other comments.
I read the email that someone sent, and it kind of, I agree on the bike thing, because when we did the site planning and stuff, we made sure there was connectivity with bikes and at least even through the site, so is there any bike racks in the area? I mean, it's not specific for this, but for those two buildings, or is there an area for bikes close to these two new buildings? And it's not you, it'll be more the developer, but.
I honestly couldn't answer that question. I looked for that information today, couldn't find it, but I can follow up with the developer about it. And I think there's probably space to put some bikes, and they're not gonna object, I don't think, to,
Yeah.
they're gonna.
Yeah, I think it's something easy, and again, that's not gonna determine if I vote yes or no, it's just, it would be nice after all that effort we put to make sure that there was pedestrian mobility and all that stuff, and then no one could park their bikes.
It's a very much an ongoing conversation with the developer as they get all the fine refinements
Yeah.
sorted out, so we'll mention that to them when we talk to them next.
And that's all I have, nothing's changed from the last time, I think everything's been addressed,
Yeah, I agree with Francis too. Since I was privy to your conversations last time, I thought everything, you addressed the main points, and I think the comments that came back really aren't pertaining to his property. It's development, which is a different issue. The only comment that I asked you last time was how you were treating the window looking into the women's restroom. If you were using some type of film that you're going to see from the outside. So I don't want to treat that as signage, but it becomes something like signage. And I think that it needs to, if you come up with a solution, I'd just like to hear that.
They will be filmed.
Yeah, just didn't want to look in from the outside.
Right.
And is there, I don't know if we can ask what that film is, because it will, affect the look, if it's going to be black, if it's going to be white or gray, or if you have a thought, because, the look of the windows from the outside, are they going to typically sort of be a black look, or are they going to be a lighter color when you're from the outside? So architecturally, again, I think I mentioned in the last meeting, black might be good, but since it's on the south side, it's not ventilated right.
Or a dark gray, or
that it's a bright black.
something that's not gonna draw attention to itself.
Right. So I just like to, make sure it's not makes the building look weird, that's all.
Essentially, as long as it's not changing, radically changing the appearance of the building from the outside, it wouldn't come back to the commission. There may be a case like that that does come to commission, that I'm aware of on a completely different location. But as long as it's just black, not, blackout film.
Yeah, like it's a art piece or something like that. It's a solid film that is static should be acceptable. Okay.
The benefit to that is it's the last window next to where the band comes down, so it's a natural point to deviate compared to the rest of the slide.
Yeah, it's kind of in an old doorway that's not being used as a doorway is what it looks like. So. Yeah, so I have no other objections, and I thought it's a nice design to improve the building even, and bringing your corporate, and the look of the building, or look of the tenant space into that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have any additional comments from the last meeting. The public comments, I did the same thing. I feel like a lot of that was addressed in the overall site plan, and I went back and was looking at those outlots to see if there were bike racks around there, but I trust that's something staff can bring up. But I know we talked about bike racks in the kind of the middle of the project, but I don't remember the outlots, so, yeah.
You're going to be very close to the bike path, so you guys can also lobby.
Yeah. Yeah. Councilman Manzaro?
Thank you. No objections, fully supportive of the application as presented.
Mayor?
No comments, thank you.
I don't think there's anyone else from the audience that would question the comments. Is there a motion?
I move to accept PC case 082022, 3, to accept the 3 variations to the original ordinances. So accepting A for the changes to the patio space, B, revisions to the exterior design, and C, the signage as presented within this document.
I second.
Commissioner Kaspersky?
Favor?
Commissioner Holler?
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke?
Yes.
Commissioner Bonjero?
Yes.
Chairman Mitchell?
Yes.
Approved?
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Down
Thank you.
twice.
Have a nice evening.
Have a safe drive.
Thanks.
These little rain showers.
So, I guess, Lisa, I don't know how you want to handle, is this just a general discussion, or?
Under our other business, we can, if you guys have feedback, I'm happy to take that now. You can look at the document if you'd like. This is all like what you're talking about, we can push it another month.
And next month could be 10 things on the agenda, so it's a chance to
That's
only
right.
have a short meeting to get into it all.
You want to just trade me the,
Yeah, absolutely.
Want me to go around the door so someone's coming to, keep the air in, or do you want me to keep it open?
No, it's still public.
It's still public, okay, so keep it. Thank you.
and we can run through it however you'd like. I don't know, did everybody have a chance to kind of run through this?
Yeah, what can you?
That's fine, I mean, I can.
Can you, I guess, just give just a high-level overview of timing
Of the process?
of this process, just to refresh everyone's memories?
Yeah, so as you, I think you generally recall, for anybody watching, there was a series of 2 public meetings earlier in the year in the spring, where the public was invited to come in and provide feedback. We had some open houses and interactive activities to kind of discuss what the future of the area just to the east of where we are now might look like. Essentially the area that is to the north of Grandview Crossing. Anticipating in the future, hopefully, that we'll have a bike path there as opposed to a rail line, so there's more of an opportunity to connect across there. And there was a planning commission workshop as well. We got the draft document from the consultant, NBPJ, who's been working on this with us in June and presented to the commission in July with a month period for review to, just to look at it to see if there were comments that we wanted to address. This will ultimately become, if the commission sees fit to adopt it as a amendment to the community plan, as an area plan, specific amendment to the community plan for 2019. This will be the first of those area plans, and we'll kind of move on to the next one hopefully from there. Hoping to get the commission's feedback, if you have it tonight, and to move forward with getting any revisions incorporated and be able to present the document for consideration for adoption next month or the month after, whichever works best for the board.
Anybody working with?
Well, actually, I thought it was well put together. The recommendations at the end were, it's builds upon itself at the end there was good. I think one of the things I heard from participating is, people don't want it to be a Dublin, but, some of the scale and their massing models of breaking the buildings down, I think still needs some work, because that massing model sort of starts to remind me of Dublin. It's the only thing, but I don't want it to be that. And it's not architecture yet. It's really just a massing model, so we've got to recognize as it gets developed from there, let there be some creativity and some, that it doesn't deadlock them into that. But I thought the scale of the complex looked right from the feedback of the workshops that I went to, and leaving some green space opposite the park for the first set of buildings, and then it becoming more street oriented as the building, or as the street jogs. I thought all those things made sense, and also addressing the backs of the building so they aren't the back house, that they actually are another front face along the railroad track, along Grandview Crossing, that they start speaking to each other, and then that railroad is a future pathway, pedestrian, or something, not roadway, but another way to engage the community. So I thought that was all strong, and I agree with all of that.
Whoever else has comments that can jump in, Tim, Sarah?
Still digesting it a little bit.
Okay.
I saw it, I was out when I saw it. so.
I know. I feel like we had that work session with them where they came in and we gave them some feedback then. I feel like they, put a mark that they've done a good job with that. I agree, it's not architecture yet, so yeah, some of the massing stuff looks severe, but I know it won't be like that once you get the detail and the building blocks broken down and that kind of thing. And they've got, like I said, things about undulating facades, varied roofs. I've got all the language in there, I think, to produce that kind of architecture when we get there. So I don't have any issues or any real concerns. I think it looks like a good plan and reflects what we kind of discussed last time.
Yes, the only thing I see here is, do we have like I'm just looking at the massing studies, but we have the two that show like structured parking of sorts and then work off that. And then we have one that has kind of that more surface lot that's internal to the buildings themselves. I guess what I'm trying to understand is, are we encouraging both options, or are we trying to narrow down the focus within this?
Sure. I think the message that the consultant provided really was that consolidation of the properties would allow for more densification because it creates an opportunity for structured parking. And that seemed to be the preference of everybody involved in planning. But the reality is there's different owners, so there may be different development patterns that emerge. And so we wanted to just have a general target, general use is preferred, baked into the plan. So there's flexibility. It's not a design, we don't own the property, it's private property, right? We're just trying to set forth a vision and some parameters, broad brush parameters for a community plan.
I think when it gets to certain density, it sort of forces that structured parking because it won't fit otherwise. And it's giving them that direction that's acceptable. And then if there is street or parking lots, it's got to be internal and hidden and not the first thing people see.
Right, which is all the stuff that the plan is communicating. Exactly.
And so then I guess related to that, what I like is how these massing plans are interacting with Douglas as it turns and divides the property. I think that's successful. I think ideally maybe that road isn't there and it could shift further east if there is consolidation. Whether we can encourage that. But at the same time, I like the connection across the railroad tracks to the south with it there. So don't know that I have like a strong guiding principle on to push it one way or the other. I think they've considered it well. Anyone else has any thoughts on that?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't have really a lot of additional thoughts, and I mean, it's addressed some in here. The only thing that really sticks in my head is the streetscape, especially from Grandview Avenue to, that bend. I know I've mentioned it before, engaging the park across the street, municipal building. It's got to be some sort of balance of, getting the yard traffic out, but also making it extremely pedestrian friendly to get across and interact with that street edge there. I feel like, and I think, just based on the comments I made in previous meetings, I do think they've, addressed some of that in there, but I think it's just going to take more study and more effort to keep traffic moving, but slower and controlled. I think that's all I really have. So, yeah, and I mean, I want planning commission members to spend some time with it, but I don't want us to hold up any part of the process. If we need to really drill down and focus and adopt anything or make any recommendations, let us know.
Yeah, well, it sounds like generally it's hit the mark, so that's exciting. And that being the case, I guess, if we give you to the end of the next week, let's say, for any final comments, you can email me. And I'll communicate those to the consultant. We'll get a final version and have that ready for consideration for adoption in September. Very good. I appreciate the commission's feedback and advice and all your creative talent in developing the plan, and look forward to working on the next one.
Are there different targets that you're looking at for the next ones?
So yes, the areas that there are to do, let's say, the other end of Goodale, where we have some wider properties, all of Goodale really over to this area. So as they break down, that would be one. Everything south of here essentially would be a second one, and the first in Grandview Avenue L would be the third one. I think we're going to need to prioritize. There's a lot of excitement coming up you may be hearing about at the city's got a few things that we're gonna be undertaking with the new municipal building, really moving forward, and a replacement for this building over in Kinley Field Park, upcoming. So with those things coming up, you know, in the next few months, hopefully, the voters, hear that. It may be that we need to wait till January. We'll see how, I hope, we might get another one started in the fall, but it might not be till January. And I think we're kind of leaning towards the first in Grandview, area plan. City of Columbus has expressed an interest in collaborating on the area plan down here, and which would be great because it's very much interlocked, like Columbus is down there. It might move a little more slowly, I don't know. We have more entities involved, but I think the plan would turn out way better. So that's another reason why that might take a little longer. And I think we have more, in some ways, more thinking to do about what this might want to mature into because of how much the markets are changing for different building types right now. So we're still waiting on the final deliverable from our economic development strategic plan. But I will say the two areas that have been identified as the most, which is no surprise to any of us, right, that have the most prospect for continued economic productivity for the city are these two areas down here. So we want to give a little bit more time for that plan to complete as well.
When you're saying the area down here, do you mean in the Grandview Crossing area, or are you talking about on the other side of, towards the river and more
All the
closer?
way, yeah.
All the way to the river?
Basically everything south of the tracks.
Okay.
Kind of excluding Grandview Crossing because that part's done,
Yeah.
but lining Grandview Avenue, lining Route 33.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. But
We have a very funny boundaries. You should take a look at them and be reminded again of how they come and go.
Yeah, there's patchwork back there.
Yeah. Elvin Beach.
It's our little bit of Crimea.
Yeah.
There's a story behind it.
All right, well, Megan, you had something?
I don't
No, I think you said something. All right, thanks for adjourning.
Thank you.
Thank you.